You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for Oprah Winfrey Network, the Oprah Recap Show. We'll bring you all the highlights from the week in OWN and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's Oprah Winfrey Network, the Oprah Recap Show.
Hello, America. I feel like I was going into an inauguration or something. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. And we are on another amazing show of the OWN, the Oprah Recap Show. And here, it's all about reaching for our best lives. It's all about validation. It's all about us being able to put out love and that positive energy and using everything OWN, everything Oprah that is going to help us get to there. So Oprah is our guidance system, or one of our guidance systems, to help us get to these points and all the different people that we bring on board today to be able to do that. And so without any further ado, people, we want to go straight into what we always do, which is our words of the day. And our words for today is hold on to your faith. Hold on to your faith. And of course, that's going to be one of our topics today. Also within that is going to be dealing with faith versus fear. So it's ironic that our words of the day is hold on to your faith. And I really want to read something really quick to you out of a little passage. I think it's very cool. And it's about have faith in your abilities. And so it says, you can always turn lemons into lemonade. Remember that doors may slam in your face, yet others will always open to more brilliant prospects. See any adversary or what they say, adverse situations you may currently have or going through as the fuel or the fire that you need to build a fabulous future for yourself. Then accept. And then the acceptance will recharge you and make you more powerful and make your force more renew your force to a different level. Don't allow yourself to see any event as a defeat. Don't give up or complain. Don't be complaining, folks, about what's happening, or give yourself a ridiculous notion that you're a failure. Remember, don't allow fear or failure to come into the situation at all. Instead, throw aside all of the negative beliefs and begin to explore the possibilities ahead. So you got to remember, anytime that you're reaching forward in life, you can't reach forward and then have one hand reaching back at the same time. You got to take both hands and reach both hands forward to the direction that you want to go, everyone. You want to make sure that you have faith in what you believe in your abilities. So remember, everybody, the words of the day is going to be hold on to your faith. So really quick, we want to just let you know that we are definitely on AFTERBUZZ TV. You can find us or download us. Definitely go to iTunes, search AFTERBUZZ TV on iTunes, and definitely you can Ustream us all the time on ustream.tv/AFTERBUZZ TV, and you should see that at the bottom of the page. That's ustream.tv/AFTERBUZZ TV. And then you can also check us out for any of the archives of our life lessons that we've been putting out here on the OWN, on also love923.com. That is LOV923.com. You can check us out there for all of the life lessons. Just go down to the bottom of the page, click on the OWN recaps, and you can see some of the archives that we have to bring you back into place. So also, really quick, you want to make sure that you're checking out Oprah on OWN, and that usually comes on channel 219, everybody. So definitely check it out, and also check out Oprah.com for all of the other show listings that she has on the show. So without any further ado, we want to bring you straight in the house of who we have here in the house and some of our amazing call-in guests that we have in the studio today. So without again any further ado, we have the amazing, the beautiful, the talented, and educated Miss Holifield. One more again. Hello, my co-host. How you doing?
Hi there. How are you today?
Oh man, today has been a beautiful day. Hard working, a lot of things happening. Let's just say I said this earlier today. West Angeles is having a gospel fest, a Christmas gospel fest, which Kim Burrell is hosting tonight. And I am so excited at 7:30. So I know some of y'all around the world can't get there, but just make sure you tune in to westangeles.com and on their website, Google it, West Angeles Church. And tonight at 7 o'clock, amazing. You have to be there. So what's going on with you, Miss Holifield?
Oh, I'm just super excited about our topics that we're talking about today. I think it's going to be really effective.
Oh, man,
and,
yes.
The right ears will be tuning in.
That's true.
And
that
the
is
right
true.
eyes will be watching.
That is very true. That is very true.
But, yeah, I'm just excited to have Dr. Wallace on with us.
Yes,
who
definitely.
You'll be introducing shortly.
Yes, I will. We got a little surprise for everyone. So.
Right. You guys are going to love it.
We're going to love it. Got to get some education. So we're going to make sure everybody gets their pens and pads out for this one this time.
Everybody get your pens and pads out.
Yes.
Get them ready now. Okay.
Because it's coming. So also in the house, we have, of course, keeping us looking good, keeping us sounding the way that we're supposed to sound. DJ Jesse's not here, everybody. And I know y'all, we miss him. So unfortunately, he had some other business he had to take care of, but he is definitely holding down the fort and sent someone, one of his business partners, one of my business partners, one of my main men. We got the street doctor.
The street doctor.
Dr. Phil is in the house.
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil, what's going on, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Welcome.
Good.
Thank you, man. You feeling all right today, man?
I'm feeling great.
That's awesome. That's what Sundays do, especially in Hollywood. They do make you feel real good.
Yay.
And also, all the way from North Carolina.
Drum roll.
We have, did I get some? We have the amazing, we have the educated, we have Dr. Wallace in the house. Dr. Wallace is also a prophetess. She's also a teacher. She's a doctor in divinity in North Carolina, and she is also a professor. So definitely she's going to give you some more information where you can find her and be able to tune in to some of her classes if you're wanting to get there. But she's going to take us in to Fear versus Faith once we get into the topics. But Dr. Wallace, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are all of you doing?
Wonderful.
It is so amazing to have you in and on the line. And thank you so much for
we really appreciate your
for
time.
coming and being this expert that and just being able to bounce off and get your opinion. So thank you so much. Is your day? How's the weather out there in North Carolina right now?
Oh, it's getting fine. It was warm today, but it's a little cool now.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everything is great. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So before we get into it a little bit, Dr. Wallace, I just want you just to fill the audience in just on a little bit of your background, and then that way they kind of have an idea of who you are a little bit more. I know I told them a little bit about what you do, but just currently give them some of the briefs of what's going on with you. Then that way we could take them straight into the topics.
Oh, first of all, I just love life. I love living, love doing the things that make other people happy.
Okay.
Love just doing my ministry.
Yes.
I do have a site called Apex School of Theology in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Okay, what was that site again?
Excuse me?
What was the site again?
Apex.
School
of Theology.
School of Theology, okay.
Yes, I have one of the sites that house the school. It's an online school.
Okay.
Awesome.
We also have a chaplaincy school, a nationally chaplain school.
Oh, wow.
Where we prepare people to go out and to help others. It's not always just a pulpit ministry.
Right.
You know, you have somebody on the street to help somebody with whatever faith they are, whoever they are.
Right.
So we prepare students to go out and of all kinds and again.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So definitely, as we see, we definitely have Dr. Wallace in the house. So we're going to take us straight into some of our topics. Because, definitely while we're here, we are exploring fear versus faith. Now, with looking at it, we were going to be taking some incidences from the, of course, life classes, looking at how the ego and distractions can create fearful situations and fearful moments, and how hope and confidence in some senses can fuel your faith and be able to put us in different levels. And of course, we're also going to go into some summaries into the Soul Sunday series, where we had the spiritual wisdom of Pastor Ed Bacon Ed Bacon on the show.
Not Bacon.
Right. And just him and Oprah, you know, their conversation. I'll be, you know, going over a couple of key points of some of the things that they talked about in their conversation, but we're going to jump straight into the meat of things right now. And we're going to go into the whole topic of fear versus faith. Dealing with the time frame that we're in our economy. It's the holiday season, you know, and, you know, people are always buying and people are always giving, and worry is a big thing that comes on people's minds at this time. However, you know, when we are attacking and we're looking at the issues of fear versus faith, we can't tackle this situation just in a natural sense. We have to tackle this sense in both a natural and a supernatural sense. So in the natural or the supernatural sense, we were not given the spirit of fear. As creative beings, you know, as creative beings in the image of God, we weren't given the spirit of fear. Fear is something that has been taught. Fear is definitely the opposite of faith. So my first question that I want to throw out to Dr. Wallace was, in your opinion, being that we weren't giving the spirit of fear, how is it that so at such a young age, so many people have a fearful mind frame, in your opinion?
Well, as you say, we were not born with fear.
Right.
Because even as babies, a baby trusted the parent. And in trusting the parent, you could throw the baby up in the air and the baby knew that the parent would catch it, or they just knew that the parent was there.
Right.
But as we grow, we acquired fear. Okay? I like the fact of spiritual versus carnality. When we're talking about carnality, we're talking about the I, the self. And the things that we believe.
Right.
Okay? As you said, we believe in God. We know that he did not give us a spirit of fear.
Right.
Okay? But of power and of love.
Right.
Now, I find that fear comes when you do not want to face a fact. Or fear comes when you don't see it is what it is. Okay? And with that fear, you can get worry, tormented, depression, whatever that can come along with it, because you're not standing on a solid ground. And I call that solid ground faith.
That's a really good point. That's a good point, because in our economy, we have so many people that feel like they're motivated by fear. You know, a lot of people don't want to do anything until fear. They don't utilize the faith. They have more faith in the fear motivating them to take action versus the faith of just taking the action appropriately, doing what is needed. I guess a lot of that goes into somewhat procrastination. But this is something that I'll even throw into Miss Holifield. You know, what is your opinion when it comes down to, you know, that thought process of what you've seen with people being motivated by fear to actually take action in life?
Well, you know what? Fear doesn't really produce action. Well, it doesn't produce action that produce seeds of harvest. So like if you're doing something out of fear, then whatever you produce from that action, it might not go over so well. Let's just put it like that. But faith is something that actually produces the action, because if you have if you're confident enough to have the faith to go out there and do it, and you know, because thoughts are things.
That is true. And
you know what's going to happen, or you know what you're expecting, or you know what your intent is, then you can produce, I feel like you can produce a better harvest that way. And these days, there's just a lot of things going on around in the media and different things like that that are introducing us to fear.
That is true.
And like when you watch the news, there's fear everywhere. Like different movies that we watch, that sparks fear. So it's like, you know, like you were saying, the older you get, then the more fear that you have to deal with, unless, of course, you know, you may have someone around you that can help you stick to your faith, because faith does come through hearing.
That is true. Now, Dr. Wallace, in that same sense of what Ms. Holifield was speaking about, can you explain the ways that fear can enter into a situation, or how fear can contaminate your faith? Because it is stated that faith is a contaminated fear. It's basically meditating on the wrong thing versus faith being meditating on the right things, or the things that are positive, uplifting, or things that are of God, or depending on what your higher situation would be. So again, question being, what ways can fear or faith get into a person, in your opinion, Doctor?
Okay, my opinion is fear and faith is a background situation. You either grow up with it or you don't grow up with it.
Right.
Or it's the people that you're associated with or around.
Right.
Okay, fear comes to stop you.
To stop you.
That's right.
I don't care what you're trying to accomplish, how you're trying to accomplish, fear comes to stop you. Rather than to be successful, it finds ways to hinder you from walking in the way that you really could walk. I mean, with little things. Wherein with faith is a substance. Faith is a belief. Some people call it positive thought or however you want to say it, but my belief is faith is a background that you stand on. For instance, I can say, well, I'm going to do this no matter what, I'm going to do it. And if fear comes, I have to be strong enough within my faith, within my thoughts, to say, okay, this is just a hurdle. It's just like saying the glass is half full rather than half empty.
Keep going.
That's a good point.
It's a choice that you are going to take. So you take the choice of being fearful, or I'm going to stand faithful.
That's important. You have the choice.
Yes, you do have the choice.
And let me say this right quick. You know, in young children, the games and the growing up, not being born up in a household of faith with any type of belief, whether it be God, whether it be positive thinking, whether whatever, not being brought up, young men acquire fear to show as a act of boldness for being a man.
Yeah, I can dig that.
Rather than letting it be what it is. When I say be what it is, fear brings on lying. For instance, you have something that you need to do and you can't do it at this time, or even with a child, I'll take an example. If a child has done something wrong, the fear in them is going to cause a lie. Because they're not going to stand up and face the fact, yes, I did it.
Yeah. Because
they don't want to face the consequences of whatever the behavior has caused.
So let me ask you this question. Is there any room for fear in a person's life? Does fear help? Is there any areas where fear is helpful?
Right. Why is it there?
Well, once again, my fear would be fear of not being obedient to the word of God, because that's my faith.
Right.
Okay. Fear can come in, you say, and being helpful. To me, that's kind of tricky there, because you can have fear. I can't see where fear would be too helpful, because we're not supposed to walk in fear in any form of fashion. See, most people, okay, like you say, fear can be, I can't see fear being helpful, because, I mean, with any type of situation, if you become fearful, I'll give you a good example. If you're fearful of that dog, he going to bite you.
Right. Right. So there's faces of fear then. There's multiple faces of fear. So I guess it would be more or less breaking down the faces of fear, because when you said, you know, when you made the example of, I might not necessarily that you fear not being obedient, but that could be taken in a form of not necessarily fear, but a form of, could that, well, let me say taken in a form, but could that be taken as a form of there's a worry that you may not be? Is that the place of fear? Because if you know that that's a part of your system, is there any fear in the knowing of, in that confidence? Can fear be in the confidence of knowing that that's not a chance that you will be disobedient or won't be disobedient?
Well, I would answer that like this. Okay, once again, and what I'm trying to say is, I guess it could be the consequences of knowing or not being obedient, and what could happen from the type of fear you're talking about. Say, well, what is the consequences of not being obedient? It could bring on a type of fear. Or what if the consequences of not doing something could bring on a type of fear? But I go back to the fact that it is what it is.
Yeah.
We as humans, within the ego and within the I, within ourselves, when we can recognize the situation and the fact at hand, begin to find a solution for the fact at hand, I believe we can conquer the spirit of fear.
You know what? That's a good point, because I think what so many people develop fear is in the future, or they continue to hold on to things that are in the past. But all we do have control over was the right now, which is all that exists. And so if right now, if each person takes a deep breath and they're able to all exhale or inhale, and nobody has lost the ability to be able to suck up air, then you have the potential and the opportunity to be able to create and do things different. You have the choice to either live in either fear or to live in the life of faith, which is concluded to love. It's really what it is. And again, I do believe that there is no room for fear in our life. And a lot of people feel like they are motivated by it to be able to go into the next level. Well, I had to get out because of fear. Well, I think that same inner voice was there telling you should have got out before. It's just through grace that you continue to be taken in place. And then now that I mentioned in the grace situation and in the fear aspect of things, how do you believe that grace and mercy move you out of a place of fear? Like when you're in a place of fear, can grace and mercy, and as far as in, let's say biblically, we believe in God and that mercy that is attached to that principle, can that be something that can move a person out of a fearful state, in your opinion? Yes.
Now you're down my line now. Yes. But number one, grace can also be interpreted as a favor. Okay? Mercy is also God's favor upon you. Okay? So to move me out of the habit of fear, I really have to have a trust. I have to have a belief. Okay? Okay, we have a saying that fear is the opposite of faith.
Right.
Or fear is false evidence appearing real.
False
Fear
evidence
is a smoke
appearing
screen.
real. That's a good acronym. False evidence appearing real. Fear.
Yes.
False evidence appearing real. Perfect.
Yes.
Like it. Definitely. Okay. So it's a
That's
smoke
more
screen.
of a smoke screen. To put me back, or to put my mind back that I can't do it, or that if I do it, I have to face this, or I have to face that. And I give a prime example, and I hope it's okay to say this. I go to the prime example of a scripture in Esther where she had to go before the king. And the scripture was, if I perish, let me perish.
Right.
Well, the average person do not want to perish in any form of fashion, so to keep from perishing, this fear going to come on, and I'm going to back off, and I'm not going to be steadfast to do what I need to do.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this question. Now, faith, with the faith aspect, how does trust, can if a person supposedly has faith, but they don't have the trust aspect, can that allow fear to come in if they don't trust in the faith that they have? I mean, you're on the way coming, but yet I don't see you immediately.
Well, that's not a strong foundation then.
But they think they have faith. So how much does trust play in a part of having
It plays
faith?
a lot into it, I think. What do you think, Dr. Wallace?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
How can you trust me if you don't have faith in me?
Right. Like, you can't, because you're
Same
either way
thing
you're going to
with
be
marriage.
scared.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're going to be scared because you don't really trust what I'm telling you, or you don't really trust that it is what it is. That's room for fear to creep in, period. So but I have a question for you, Dr. Wallace. What, in your opinion, what would be the best way to prevent fear? Just for people of any faith and all faith, what is the best way to prevent fear and move from fear to faith?
Good question.
Oh, my opinion, the first thing I would say is you got to get a strong foundation of faith once again. The next thing is to move from fear into faith is I got to trust whom I believe in. To move out of fear into faith, you got, once again, face the situation. I'll give you a prime example. Some people are afraid to drive.
I've met some of those, right.
Face that fear. But to have that faith, I'm going to face that fear because I believe in God. I believe, okay, though I'm with you always, I never leave you. You're going to walk with me through this. Okay? Because I believe this. Everything happens for a purpose.
Right.
Okay? So whatever the purpose, whatever is going on, to get out of that fear, I got to let myself know, even sudden fear.
Right.
Immediately, you got to find your strength in who you believe in.
That's true.
Immediately, you got to find your strength in whatever you believe, or whatever, whoever, like I said, you believe in. If you believe in God, you got to know immediately, hey, this is not going to take place because I know He's going to take care of me. And if it takes place, it's according to His purpose, but yet I'm going to walk out of it because I trust Him.
Right. Definitely. Now, what I want to talk about and move into, because even on the life classes with Eckhart Tolle, with the New Earth, Oprah was talking with him and interviewing him and speaking about the ego and the point of the ego and how the ego can play in a fearful state and how the ego can possibly play in a faithful state and the point of it and when is it the right time to check your ego, etc. So what I want to get at an understanding was, what is your opinion in the relationship to the ego and the self, in your opinion?
The ego and the self deals with, in my opinion, the I. The I in us plays a very important role in anything that we do. For instance, if I'm going to have fear, it's because the I in me chose to have the fear. To me, I really want to say the ego or the I is selfish. Because it has to be my way or no way, or I am afraid, or I this, or I that. That still goes back to no trust in nobody but yourself. Your ego hasn't gotten up to the point that you even trust yourself. So if you don't trust yourself, or you don't trust your moves of your situations, then you're going to cause fear to block whatever you're trying to deal with.
That is actually a really good point.
That is. If you don't trust yourself, then you're going to allow fear to creep in.
That's a good point, because one of the questions that arose on also the life classes and then a lot of the studies that I have is, people have to ask themselves, what are you afraid of? And what are the things that you fear? Because if you don't identify that there are things there, then there are leaks in those open doors for all kind of disasters to create themselves and build themselves up. When you have those hidden, child, you better look both ways when you cross. You're gonna hit by a car, or there's so many different beliefs, like if you walk outside with no shoes on, you're gonna get sick. There's all kind of superstition, and that's another thing. There's so many types of superstition and folk tales and all these ideologies that people have grown up hearing, depending on where they're from, that they have, oh, it's too good to be true. So many, negative things that are being said that people take on as their everyday dialogue. And what I wanted to just express was, again, I said this on the last show, but just the 6 things that the ego, to add on to what Dr. Wallace said, actually, does for you, or, not really does for you, but happens when you're in it. Of course, it's a collection of ideas that we carry around. It's false ideas. Like you said, it's a false self that we believe, and it is all about the I. It's I want to have what they want to, ego is all about I am what I have. So it's all about the substance or the things that you have. I am what I do, job title, whatever you have. I am what I represent. They always got to put something on you. If I'm a mom, if I'm a dad, if I'm a CEO, that is who you are. That's your title. I'm an executive producer, but yet you're a horrible person. They feel like they have to be what they represent. And then the 4th thing is that I am separated from you. They're different from who you are. Because I am the CEO, I don't have to relate myself to you. That's my ego. That's my personality that I've taken on. And then the 5th thing is I'm separated from myself. Because when you're in the ego, a lot of times we do things that, personality traits that we've developed, these characteristics that we think we are, so we won't know how to humble ourselves sometimes to the true self. And so we'll do things out of the ego. On the show, there was a young man that got up there and he said, I know that I can't afford it, but I have this stigma of buying labels. I know I can't afford it, but I'll buy these name brand labels that I can't afford just to keep up basically with the Joneses. But it's actually hurting me, and but I don't know why I do it. Well, I know why I do it, but I don't know how to stop doing it because, you know, I'm still functioning in this situation. So it definitely takes you from self. And then the sixth thing is I am separated from God, because the ego's acronym is edging God out. When you feel like it's all about you, then when you are worried about your reputation, when you're worried about yourself, when you are those things, then that is now your God.
Right.
That is now your focus. And so if that is your focus, then there's no other room to be able to have any other focus, no other room to be downloaded to. So in your opinion, or not even your opinion, but worry in our economy now, I think almost sometimes that worry is probably one of the biggest things that people are in, especially with the holiday season coming up, and worry. How does one utilize faith? How does faith come in a worried situation, Dr. Wallace, in your opinion, with Christmas and gifts and all this pressure around? How does one stay in the faith place instead of going in the fear, even when they still got to spend and they still got all these obligations, kids and everything else looking at them?
Okay, good point. First point I want to say, and you and I, Corey, you talk about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where the mind goes,
the body will follow. That is correct.
In this particular season, the mind is based around receiving, giving, not having enough, or being by myself, or being in just a depressed mode because of the way that we've been taught in society.
Mm-hmm.
So I can allow my mind to go into a worry fact because I overspend and then I got to pay the bills the next month. I could allow my mind to go into a worry fact because I can't give and I can't do this. Or I can keep my focus on my faith that it is what it is. I'm limited to doing this, therefore I have to do what I'm limited to do.
Right.
Then I won't worry about what I cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
Depression brings on worry during this time. A lot of people are depressed because I'm by myself, or I have no one, or this is the season to be busy. This is the season to have your faith that, hey, face it, it is what it is. I don't have anyone. Well, then someone could come or could not come. I'm by myself, so I'm enjoying me. Hey.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
It's the way you think. You got to renew your mind.
That is right. That is right. And when you know what, really quick, I want to go into something, but I just want to make a quick plug and just let everybody know that we're definitely here at AfterBuzz TV. We're AfterBuzz Studios. You can definitely go to iTunes, search AfterBuzz TV. That's AfterBuzz TV. Go to iTunes and download, download AfterBuzz TV and go to the Oprah Recap Show and definitely click us. We want to hear from you. Call in. Definitely call in. We are definitely sitting here waiting for you at 424-256-1729. Again, that's 424-256-1729. So you can definitely call in and jump in on the conversation, because right now what we are addressing is fear versus faith right now. And you can also check this same program out after you do all the downloads. You can also go to www.lov923.com, scroll down to the bottom and click on the Own Oprah site as well, and you can check out these recaps there as well. But we are clicking in on the faith versus fear aspect of things, and we're hitting on, you know, how worry and all these other things come into play. So one thing that I want to throw out to you too, Dr. Wallace, was boldness. Now, boldness is a form of confidence, and of course, how does one utilize? You're in a fear state of point of view or state. Things are happening all around you. There's a lot of people wondering how they're going to eat, where their food's coming from. You know, sickness. They're looking at their family. They're wondering. They're worried. They're worried. People wake up and they're worry kings and queens out here. How can boldness, confidence, and utilizing faith move a person to a position of being in worry out of that position?
First thing I would say about that is, once again, having strong faith. You have to keep from worrying. you have to be there to say, okay, I am who I am. And you have to believe that which you want or that which you need, you're going to accomplish it. Okay? You have to stand still on okay, like you said, you're homeless. I got to be bold enough to believe that it's just going to manifest.
Right.
Not only that, I have to be bold enough. Let me tell you something. I am so bold that if I'm hungry, I believe that I can walk into this store and I can, let somebody know I'm hungry. Now, you do have fakers and shakers out there, but if you are honest and if you are bold about what you are saying, something's going to stand up in somebody and begin to give you some type of help.
That's right. That's right, because you believed it.
Because you believed it.
Because you believed it.
It's according to your belief. The scriptures say it's all according to what you believe. How you believe this. And, of course, a little fear. Of course, some people say, well, fear going to come. But when it comes, you got to be bold enough to say, step back.
It should meet faith.
Yes.
When fear knocks at your door, it should meet faith. I always use this kind of example because the only way that negative situations can really affect you in the way to where it can affect you, and I heard Norman Vincent Peale, if I'm not mistaken, make this comment to where he was in a very bad situation and everybody said, oh my God, you got to deal with this. You got to take it. It is what it is. And he said, you know what? If nothing else I can do but get my mind fixed around how to handle it and how to move past this, I've still won the battle because the battle does start in your mind. And I use the example of, for those out there that have watched the movie Freddy versus Jason, just a little bit of relevance to that particular situation, because in that movie, if anyone knows, just a brief synopsis, Freddy it was Freddy's town that people were getting killed in. But, I'm taking you there. But what he was doing was he used Jason, which was alive, to be able to create the fear aspect. So when all these different, in that movie, murders and stuff started happening, people started creating a fear thinking that it was Freddy Krueger coming back to try to kill them, which he didn't have any power because no one thought about him. But when all these deaths started happening unexpectedly, they gave him, that fear started creeping back in. And when that fear started creeping back in, his power got stronger. And eventually when everybody was talking about this fear and this Freddy Krueger person, he had the power to be able to intertwine or actually come into the real realm and cause havoc, etc. And so that's only a cinema movie example of how certain things can come to create little nuggets or little pennies can come and add up of fear. And eventually you have a heavy situation on your hands trying to figure out, how do I get out of this situation? And you've mentioned a lot too, Doctor, about faith and strong faith. If a person doesn't understand faith, if I am in a mind of darkness, which is where the enemy wants to keep us, and I'm gone through, I haven't had these teachings, I haven't had this, I haven't come from that background, I am hurt, but I am looking for something else, but I don't know what it is. I've been hurt by the church, I've been hurt by a different religion. What do I do? How do I get back on track? Like you said, if you need faith or positive thinking, and how do I find it, and how do I know when it's there?
Okay. The first thing you would do, and I say this to anybody, is to begin to renew the mind. The first thing you're going to have to do is change your way of thinking. I want to throw this out there, and I hope it's appropriate, but I say this always. The body houses the spirit. Okay? The spirit has to be trained or be acquired to follow evil or to follow good.
That's right.
What you seek for, you're going to find.
That is right.
Now, I'm out here, and I want to change my way of thinking. I don't want to be fearful anymore. I want to know how to stand. I want to get you a good foundation of belief. As I would say in God, but if you don't want to believe in God, whatever you believe in, you get a good foundation of it. And when you get a good foundation, you won't allow certain spirits to intimidate your spirit.
Right. That's a good point when you say intimidation and distraction.
And allow
And allow.
Because
and
you
allow.
have the power to allow that or not.
Or not.
But if your faith isn't strong enough,
Good point.
then you're allowing it.
You are allowing it. You are, that is a good point. Really, really good point on how people now that's what I want to connect to. Because when worry comes in, fear comes in, when we're at a place of disease, it can create dis-ease. So how can, and that's the question I want to ask you, doctor, and get your opinion. How can that fear create disease in your life?
You say disease? You said like an illness?
Like an illness, like when, like, you know, how can fear create illness in people's lives when they're in worry or strife or stress? How can that create physical illness in their lives?
Well, I'm not a medical doctor, but I can say if you dwell on something too long, the body, once again, the body reacts with the spiritual sense. And if I'm going to dwell constantly on something, or I'm going to bring in a spirit of worry, or I'm going to worry on something, then it can cause high blood pressure. Okay? A lot of things, like I said, once again, the I brings upon the self. Because of the discontentment or not knowing how or no understanding. Depression comes from the I, because I choose to be depressed because I don't choose to find a way to be happy.
That's right.
So I don't have this faith, and I want this faith. I'm looking for this faith. Get a good foundation, whether it's positive thinking or whether it's God, whether it's Jesus. Get a good foundation.
That's right. That's a good point. Now, one thing that I want to bring up too, and this was you know, as far as in how when people are moving into new levels in life, because a lot of people are fearful of the future, you know, and because of certain things they haven't been exposed to in the past, they look at the future and they sometimes say, will there be more of this? Or I'm working so hard, am I going to lose it all? It's so much fear in the unknown as situations move forward. And not just that, some of it feels like it's warranted because that's where distractions and things come in, because as you're moving towards that destiny, there's always going to be so many type of things happening to try to divert you, to try to knock you off, to try to stop you from moving to that next point. And I want to just say real quick from a quote, Chuck Yeager, he was one of the first men to fly past the speed of sound. So he, you know, they all thought that when you actually go as fast as the speed of sound or go to a certain point that it would disintegrate. But he reported when the news people came to him, when he actually hit that particular sound barrier breakage moment, they said, well, how did it feel? What happened when you actually hit it? He said, well, right before we crossed, the cockpit shook the most. And as soon as we went and hit through that sound barrier, everything smoothed up. And that's the way that life is. And I just say this and throw that out to people. That's the way life is. A lot of times we may not know and we may have had bad experiences, but because when we really think about it, we are creative beings. We are the only ones that, whether we create good or we create bad, we get what we create. We always receive a harvest because there is a natural law that is a law of receiving, sowing, and reaping. You know, you're going to get what you sow. And so, in certain distractions come to, they're called focus thieves, vision thieves. They come to put new information in your head to distract you, to speak, like you said, for you to allow your own dismay or destruction to happen on yourself. No one did it to you. It was almost it was really self-done. It was presented, and you decided to pick up all the mess, all the trash, all the evil, all the lack, all the worry, you decided to take that on, and you decided to be the king in that moment over all of it, over worry, and it can actually create disease and actually take you up out of here. And so everybody, you just got to remember, there is no room for fear. There is no room for fear. Flip all the fear onto faith. Remember, there is always a way, because we are creative beings. Where the mind goes, the body does follow. We can speak things into the universe, and it is created. Together, we come together, and we are speaking creative energy into this universe, and it does exist. When we speak it, it exists, and it is transformed into a living thing.
And the crazy thing about that is the only thing that really creates is faith.
That's right.
Like, you're not going to create anything out of fear.
Well, you can create
I mean,
out
well,
of
you
fear.
can, but I mean, as far as something that's going to be
Productive.
right, productive and effective and positive.
And go to the run. But see, there's another line under the fear area, because you have a lot of people that are creating a lot of fear on the underline that it may be masked as positive, but
it's really fear.
deeper, it's a lot of negative, it's a lot of deceitfulness, it's a lot of things that are being being done, but yet they're still projecting that. But again, that's a whole nother a whole nother subject. Really quick, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take you into a commercial plug, an AfterBuzz plug, and once we come back, we're gonna go into our last topic, which is, if I know anything for sure, this is what I know for sure. This is what I know for sure. And again, our topic is faith versus fear. We are AfterBuzz TV, and we'll be right back in 1 second.
AfterBuzz TV. Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV. AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
What's happening, everybody? We are so back, and we are on the Oprah Recap Show. I'm your host, Brookshire, and we are officially in the house. And of course, we still got Miss Holifield.
Miss Holifield.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
All right. And we still got our street doctor, Dr. Phil, in the house. What's going on over? You still woke over there, brother?
I'm still good.
Good to go. And we still have our amazing call-in co-host, Dr. Wallace. Dr. Wallace, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Wonderful. So really quick, this is our last segment that we want to just do, and I love this segment. This is the segment on, this is what I know for sure. Through all these topics, this is what I know for sure. So, Dr. Wallace, I just want to know, when it comes down to fear versus faith, and this topic that we're talking about, what is the one thing that you know for sure that you would want to express and tell the people? What you know for sure about this?
One thing I know for sure is that I will not walk in fear of the unknown.
That's a good one.
I like it.
One thing I know for sure, that in facing the unknown, I'm going to face it with faith and my trust
It is what it
in
is.
God.
That's right.
So one thing I know for sure, I refuse to be defeated. The ego,
yes.
refuse to be defeated in the area of fear.
It's powerful.
Good stuff. Miss Holifield, one thing that you know for sure when it comes down to fear versus faith and applying to the life, what would it be?
Well, one thing I know for sure is you have the ability to choose your thoughts. You have the ability to be able to choose what you receive and what you will not receive.
That's right.
So ultimately, is your fear controlling you, or are you controlling your fear? One thing I know for sure is how you can be able to figure that question out yourself is, okay, so for fear, fear actually manifests sin, death, sickness, worry, anxiety.
Right.
Care, worries, caring, lack.
Right.
And faith produces life,
right,
health, prosperity, joy, and love. Look at your life. One thing I know for sure is it's either going to be fear or it's either going to be faith.
That's right.
Either or.
That is right. That is absolutely right. And one thing that I know for sure is that everything that's happening in your life right now, currently, somehow, some way, we have attracted it into our lives. So I always say use the up thinking technique instead of the down thinking technique. And that's the one thing I know for sure. If you have the choice to speak life into your life, if you have the choice to speak positivity, if you have the choice to be able to look at things on the brighter side or on the bigger side or the better side or on the lighter side, side of things, then what I do know for sure, then that is your best bet, because again, you cannot be terrified by anything unless there is a fear there, and you cannot be happy and productive unless there's faith and joy and love there. Yeah. And so they both operate on their own systems. They're so much the same that one little mishap can take you into the wrong place. So you want to make sure that as you are, like Dr. Wallace said, renewing your mind, as you're educating yourself on the different books, and you're bringing information into your eyes and your ears and out your mouth, and you're bringing this information in that you take on as beliefs, and you're reading the books, and you're listening to the mentors and the teachers and this show here, and you're grabbing these life lessons that's going to take you to the next step in life. Apply it. Download it in, because out of that information you will reap a harvest, but yet this harvest will be more along the lines that you want to be at. Right. So remember that, people. Remember that.
You have the control.
You have the control and you have the power, and fear has no faith in any part of your future. There is always, and I love this part, if there is a will,
there is a way.
If there is a will, if you can get your mind, your heart, your emotions, your soul, if you can get yourself in that process, and that's where the education comes sometimes, is to get your mind in that confidence that you do have what it takes to do it, then there is no room. There ain't no devil, there ain't no human, there ain't nobody that can stop you. And we've seen examples on the life classes with the two-legged dog, and people that have had only one leg, and people that have had so many different things that have happened to them that have overcome and overcame some of the situations they never thought would happen.
Because they had the will.
Because they had the will. So if you have the will, you have a way, and fear has no will or way to stay when that will is in place and when faith is in place. Like Oprah said, all you need was the size of a mustard seed. The side well, the side of it will work too, but the size of it
right.
of a mustard seed, everybody. So again, everybody, that was what we know for sure, and that is the things that we know for sure. So really quick, we're going to be closing this out.
Closing out.
And it was an amazing time here. Listen, we are AfterBuzz Studio. Again, this is Faith versus Fear. Make sure that you check us out on AfterBuzz TV. Go to iTunes and download us on AfterBuzz TV, everybody. Check us out, download us, and then also hit us up, because again, we want to be utilized as your reference. So check us definitely out at love923.com, and continue to take notes, stay tuned. We will be back here at 4:15 next Sunday. Now that's PST, that's Pacific Standard Time, because we out here in Hollywood, y'all.
Hollywood.
Check us out every week, where we're going to be bringing you some amazing interviews and some great things coming up. You remember, keep the faith. Dr. Wallace, we want to thank you so much for coming in and giving your opinion. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
10 more times.
Thank you, thank you, Miss Holifield, it's always a pleasure working with you. Looking at you. You're beautiful, you're intelligent, and it's only going to get better in the future.
Thank you.
And Street Doctor, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
We appreciated you today, man.
Thank you.
Hey, we had some unique things happen in the beginning, but you know what? That's what faith is, and not having fear, because you are an example of how we worked through it and made this thing happen. So that's what I'm talking about. You made it work, brother. And to all my fans and viewers out there, please keep your head lifted high. Remember, reach for your best self. There is a greater person. There is a giant on the inside of you that is waiting and willing and ready to be unleashed to do greater good in this world.
Only you have the ability to wake him up.
You got the ability to wake that joker up, all right? No one else but you. We'll check you out. This is AfterBuzz TV, and you have an amazing day.
Have a great day.
Peace.
Bye.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.